Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a Kentucky State Police officer was buried Saturday, but his community and friends came to show their support. And almost 2 months after a tragedy struck a community, a fundraiser was hosted for the legacy of Deputy Conley.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:31 on July 10th. Now let's check in with Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. And I feel like the topic of this morning, Brandon, has just been that fog. Yes, it continues to get worse and worse. So really you need to be careful. Maybe leave a little early for work this morning if you're headed out.
Exactly. Just be extra careful out there this morning. Take your time, take it easy, use your low beams out there. And again, don't forget about that crash we're getting ready to tell you about here again on Highway 15 over in Knott County that could affect your morning drive. Dense fog advisory out until basically 9 o'clock for most of eastern and southern Kentucky, central Kentucky, Claiborne and Campbell counties in East Tennessee. No word if they're going to extend that into Lawrence County and then southern West Virginia and southwestern Virginia. So again, we're just going to keep an eye on that. I wanted to show you this camera. I'm going to give it just a second to see if it pops back in, because this gives you an idea of how dense this fog is out there this morning on top of Buffalo Mountain. I think it's going to come back to us. All right, but again, you can't see anything. I've got it zoomed out where you can see the platform on the top of our transmitter, but you can't see anything off in the distance. Maybe we'll come back to that a little bit later on. Temperatures out there, low to mid 60s, upper 50s. Irvin, the cold spot this morning at 57, looks like. Monticello, the warm spot at 66. Day planner, 83, very pleasant, very nice, very sunny. Get out there and enjoy it after this fog lifts. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon. We are continuing to follow a developing story this morning out of Knott County. Knott County Coroner Corey Watson tells WYMT one man is dead following a motorcycle crash. It happened early this morning on Highway 15 near the bridge at Car Creek Lake. We know 2 motorcycles were involved and that officials have said Highway 15 will be closed for some time. So if you're leaving to work and you need to go across Highway 15, just remember that that road is closed and you may need to take a different route. And police have not released any more information, but we will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest as we get it. Officials with the London Laurel Rescue Squad are continuing their search for a missing swimmer at Laurel River Lake. They received the report of a possible drowning Friday evening. Rescue units responded to the area near Sulphur Spring Branch where the swimmer was last seen. The squad says the swimmer's friends found his life jacket shortly after his disappearance. They are once again using divers and underwater drones to find the location of the swimmer. Officials spent the weekend searching an area about 130 feet deep. A man in Mingo County was arrested after police say he knowingly operated a drug house. Derek Dinges of Warncliffe was arrested by the Mingo County Sheriff's Office and charged with multiple offenses, including illegal possession of firearms, possession and intent to distribute controlled substances. A Monticello man was arrested after he gave moonshine to someone who was underage at the Wayne County Fair. 45-year-old Michael Hanna reportedly gave a 17-year-old moonshine late Friday night. Officers were told by the child's mother that her son was given moonshine in a Powerade bottle. Officials say they talked to the boy and released him to his mother. Hanna was arrested for unlawful transaction with a minor and public intoxication. The search continued for an inmate who walked away from a satellite camp next to the Ashland Federal Correctional Institution. Emmanuel Cervantes is described as a 31-year-old man with black hair and brown eyes, standing 5 feet and 6 inches. Now, days later, he's still missing. Misty Fields lives near the camp and says she noticed Friday evening something wasn't right.
There was a lot of unmarked vehicles that you normally don't see. And then a few minutes later, you started seeing the Sheriff's Department and the Kentucky State Police.
Anyone with information about Cervantes is asked to call the United States Marshals Service or their local law enforcement agency. The Harlan community continues to mourn the loss of Kentucky State Police Sergeant Jared Boggs as they laid him to rest Saturday. WYMT's RJ Johnson has more.
It was an emotional ceremony as Sergeant Jarrett Boggs was laid to rest. Hundreds of friends, family, and loved ones paid their respects.
He loved to serve. He loved to protect and serve, and he loved his family, and he just loved Harlan County.
His wife Angie and son Zachary said he would have loved to see all the people that came out to remember him.
He would be honored today to have such a turnout for his service, and he would be honored that his son gets to see how much he was loved by this community.
The community he grew up in was a community he would serve for 18 years at the Kentucky State Police Post 10, helping everybody.
He was just a go-to guy for everybody. He fixed everybody's flat tires, and he went to their house if they had something wrong, a leak or needed fencing, or, I mean, he was there for everybody.
They say seeing all of the love from everyone in the community is great to see.
And if you really don't know him, read Rodney Sturgill's post.
Yeah, just read what his friends have said about him. That's just a small amount of what he done. I had said the other day, I think he packed about 90 years into 39 years of life.
Yeah. Everywhere he went, if there was somebody needed help, he was there for them.
Leaving an impact on his son, his wife, and his community, his presence is everlasting. In Harlan, RJ Johnson, WIMT Mountain News.
He was buried at the Harlan County Memorial Garden. Donations can be made to Harlan Little League and Harlan Independent Schools to support his son Zachary, who many say was his world. Another well-known Harlan Countyan was honored Saturday at his funeral. Benny Massey Sr. was a community leader for his work with the mines and just the helping hand he lent to his neighbors. The service at Greater Mount Sinai Baptist Church in Lynch was filled with people who say Benny touched their lives and they will not forget him.
If you weren't strike in Alabama, Benny gonna show up in Alabama. You bring George with him too.
That's right.
And any struggle, if you're about to lose your health care, which almost happened in these coal fields, these two were right there.
Massey will be buried in Big Stone Gap, Virginia later this month, although his loved ones were able to say their goodbyes and pay their final respects at the service. Saturday, a Central Kentucky restaurant hosted a fundraiser for the family of fallen Scott County Sheriff's Deputy Caleb Conley and one of their regulars, a man they call Dave. Back in May, Dave DiLeonardo was shot twice by the man accused of killing Deputy Conley. Julia Sandor spent some time with those at the fundraiser and shares their outpouring of support.
So give you guys one big round of applause because you guys are amazing.
Nearly 2 months after a community was struck by a tragedy, hundreds of people walked up the hill to Rosen Gyms to support Dave DiLeonardo and fallen Scott County Sheriff's Deputy Caleb Conley.
I didn't know Dave and I didn't know the sheriff, but it doesn't make any difference. You're all family.
Fresh food, live music, and a lot of raffles. Support from local businesses helped them raise more money than they ever expected.
Make it 8,000.
This is a place, no matter who you are or where you come from, you're going to be welcomed with open arms, and it's just a great time up here.
After that dark day back in May, the bar that sits atop this hill has shown the community that they can find the light together.
You know, one thing that came out of that day for sure is literally everyone coming together and showing support. And, you know, we are a larger town, and it doesn't matter. You have a name, you know, and we want the legacy of Deputy Conley to live on.
I have seen things here I haven't seen in a long time. It feeds your soul. It feeds your soul to be able to do something for your fellow man.
While Dave continues on his road to recovery, he thanked all of the people who have been in his corner. And for those playing games, making conversation, and winning raffles, they've seen the difference one small act of kindness can make.
Thank you to each and every one of you so very much. We love you all.
In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
For more ways to donate to the Conley family, you can go to our website at WYMT.com. A new park in a Louisville neighborhood will honor the life and legacy of a pioneering Louisville attorney and civil rights champion, Alberta Jones. Jones was Kentucky's first woman prosecutor. She led a campaign that forced Louisville's city government to hire more black employees. She also helped register thousands of black voters. Now a park has been dedicated to her service. The facility will have walking paths, a park lawn, and several other features.
Study after study show that well-appointed public parks increase the mental, physical, and emotional health of the community that it serves. That the public parks are great for our environment. They reduce crime.
The ribbon cutting for the first 5 acres of the park will be in November. Kentucky ranks less than stellar in the U.S. when it comes to dental hygiene and oral health. Most dental providers can be found in populated areas like Lexington and Louisville, and that means there are fewer dentists to serve rural areas. Marcia Rojas, an assistant dental professor at UK, says the Appalachian, western, and southern parts of the state need more dentists. She says people often wait until it's too late to see a dentist because they sometimes have to travel hours away from home just to get care.
Some of these patients, their options of treatment are limited. Once they get to see a dentist, the needs are more severe. The type of treatments tend to be more invasive. And the coverage of some of those services is limited to mainly extractions.
Rojas also says the limited number of providers who currently offer care to Medicare and Medicaid patients also impacts people's access to dental care. The University of Pikeville in Eastern Kentucky is set to open a dental school in 2025. This month makes 1 year since the introduction of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Hotline. The 3-digit number gives people a faster way of getting help in the middle of a mental health crisis. Health leaders across our region say they've seen an influx of calls since the line's launch, helping to connect those in need to crisis counselors.
Nearly 15,000 contacts. So that's calls, chats, or texts from people right here in West Virginia calling our lifeline.
Calling 988 can not only provide help right away, but connect you with mental health resources in your area.
.643, I told you I'd get this camera up and running for you. Look at that off in the distance. No visibility at all. The only reason you can see, basically, this is the roof of our transmitter building, and you can see just off into nothingness. If you dove off of there, well, first of all, it'd be a bad time. But second of all, it's just white out there, just gray. All right, 61 Buffalo Mountain, 61 in Hazard, 57 Irvin, 59 Moorhead, Ashland, 60 Clintwood. They'll be the next to fall into the 50s there if we make it there. 65 in Harlan, 65 in Manchester, 66 in Monticello. Your out-the-door forecast is going to be absolutely pleasant as the fog gives way to some sunshine this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day. Temperatures in the low 80s. And dew points basically falling. It's going to be very comfortable out there later on today. Olivia?
All right. Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:44. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. An appeals court in Tennessee lifted a temporary stay on banning gender-affirming care for transgender minors this weekend. What that means next for Tennessee.